welcome here. In last lecture we installed Expo and we ran our applications. In this lecture we'll continue and I will explain to you folder structure of our project. So let's start. Open a coding editor of your choice. For me it's a Sublime. Let's open this and let's find our project. So open and let's search for Music React. Here it is. So let's open this. Okay, I will make this screen larger for you and we can start with the Expo folder. And Expo folder just contains configuration files for Expo. So nothing interesting here for us. So we can close this. Okay, let's move to our tests folder. And here you can find tests for your application. And we will not do any tests in this course. So it doesn't interest us. So we can close this. And let's go to Assets folder. And Assets folder contains the static files for our application as the fonts, images, and so on. So let's close this and let's move to Components. And Components contains our React components for our applications. And currently we have here a style text component and tab bar icon component, which was created for us when we generated this project. And you can find a similar concept as a components in screens. Because a screen and a components, they are both React components. So what is the difference between them? The difference between them is how you think about them. Because a screen is a React component, the same as our component here. But the screen is what you display inside of your application. So for example, here I am displaying my home screen. Here is a link screen and here is a settings screen. So our screens are container components for other components. So our home screen can contain our style text component or tab bar icon component or different components. So components are meant to be reusable and used in different screens or in different components. So this is the main difference between a screen and a component, is the way how you think about it. And we will work a lot with the screens and the components through this course, so don't worry, you will learn how to use them. Okay, so we can close components folder and we can continue to our constants. And inside of a constants folder you can find as a variables that specify colors, backgrounds and warnings. So just a variable that's holding some values, the same in a layout. Okay, so we can close this and let's go to our navigation. And we'll talk about navigation in next lecture because I want to explain to you this in more detail. So this is the main navigation for our application. So you can see here our tab bar navigation with the home, links and the settings, and the same you can find here. So here we have a home stack, a link stack and a settings stack, and we are creating our bottom tab navigator, but more about this in the next lecture. So let's close this navigation folder. Alright, and let's move to Node modules, and here you can find listed all the packages required to run this application, and you can find here React Native itself. So when you will scroll down, alright, so let's find our React Native. Alright, React Native. So here is all of the code for this React framework. So if you want, you can check it out, and I will close this. Alright, Node modules. And let's move to the screens. And I told you before, screens are our container components that we are displaying inside of our application. So here you can find settings screen, home screen, and so on. So here is a specified code which we are displaying inside of our application. Okay, we can close the screens folder. Let's continue with the Babel RC. And this is just a configuration file for a Babel. And if you don't know what is a Babel, Babel is just a tool that compiles your newer version of JavaScript. So in our case, we are using here JSX, and I will talk more detail about JSX in future lessons. So it will compile this JSX to vanilla JavaScript, so to older version of JavaScript. So here we are just specifying that we are using this JSX. Okay, we can close this and we can ignore just a file for a version control. Here we are specifying folders and files that will be not included in a GitHub repository. We will create in a future one. So we will push our application to GitHub repository, Node modules, and an Expo folder will be not included there. Let's close this and let's go to Watchman config, and this is just a configuration file for a Watchman. So just a tool that watching over our files, and when we will do a change, let's say in home screen, we will write here something, we'll save the file, and this will automatically reload our application. Okay, so this doesn't interest that much, so we can close also Watchman config, and let's continue app.js, and these are root file of our application. Here we are specifying our navigator, so our tab navigator and all of the navigation to our application. Here we are loading our application and all of the assets and so on. So this is a root file of our application. Okay, let's go to app.json. This is just a configuration file for our Expo application. You can find your name, description, and all of the stuff. Okay, let's close app.json, and package.json is just specifying all of the dependencies our application is dependent on. So you can find everything is installed in Node modules, and that's specified here inside of a package.json what should be installed. Okay, so that's it. That's folder structure of our projects, and in next lecture I will continue and I will tell you something more about navigation, because this is very important in a React native application. Okay guys, so for this, see you in next lecture.